The main focus for this particular course is to put everything together and also build some advanced customizations. We're going to integrate together Allure, ReportPortal. Also, I'm going to show you another interesting feature of Azure called AppInsights. The most popular way is to have a few such pipelines or workflows where we execute all of our tests or a subset of some of the suites. First, I'm going to start with ReportPortal. ReportPortal is a very popular reporting solution. It's open source. You can deploy it on Docker, Kubernetes, and other cloud platforms. Let's say a simple way of categorizing your tests automatically based on regex expressions and statuses. This can help you to add something like Google Analytics, if my analogy is right, but for your framework. You will notice that before the run started, in order to get information about the test suite, the run environment, the release name, the build name, we are getting these environmental variables. Hi guys, greetings from Bulgaria. This time we're going to discuss results analysis integration. This is the next module, part of our advanced test automation framework development course. But before we begin, as you know, please subscribe to the channel, hit the ring bell so that you get notified when new videos are published to the Lambda Test YouTube channel. Also check the awesome Lambda Test blog because there are many detailed articles that can help you to be a much better test automation engineer. For this particular module, in the links below, you will find all relevant resources, courses linked together with the GitHub repo, and I suggest to clone the repo. Clone the repo. It's called Polaris White Test Framework, and for this particular course, instead of creating every time separate repositories, I'm using a different technique. We have different branches for each particular module because we are upgrading the framework little by little in these branches. So when you clone the repo, you need to check out this results analysis branch. And I suggest to watch all of the videos from the beginning, all of the modules, because I try all of the modules to be not connected between each other, but still some of the concepts we took a closer look in previous modules. You will find some jump links in the description below, and they will help you, if you don't want to watch the whole module, just to jump to the part that is interesting for you. So in this module about results analysis, we're going to cover many exciting things. In the past we had a video about results analysis but integrating with Java. Now I won't focus so much about these tools. Of course, I'm going to give you a refresh why we are going to integrate them, etc. But again, as the main focus for this particular course is to put everything together and also build some advanced customizations to these tools. So first, we're going to begin with integrating our framework and executing all of the tests using Azure DevOps, a popular continuous integration, continuous deployment tool. After that, we're going to integrate together Allure, ReportPortal. Also, I'm going to show you another interesting feature of Azure called AppInsights, where we can collect some meta information about the execution of our tests, and maybe it can help us to resolve some problems in future. And the third part will be dedicated to extending these reporting solutions. For example, we're going to extend Allure and add BDD logging there, publish everything there. Also, I'm going to show you how we can integrate together ReportPortal, Azure DevOps, and Lambda Test together, the three of them, where we are going to add links to the current executed test, the failed tests, to the videos in Lambda Test. Also in the ReportPortal, we're going to link the Azure DevOps build link and add some custom tags about your test environment, test suite, and many more. So let's begin with discussing the Azure DevOps. Until now, we have executed all of our tests locally through Visual Studio, right? As we discussed in one of the first modules, just to make the usage for you a little bit easier through the course, I have put this particular project right here in this solution. However, we have a separate repo where I moved these system tests, and we're using the framework as a submodule. For now, I will leave it like that. So we'll look into a simplified version where we will work with a single repository, but keep in mind that in most cases, it will be a little bit more different and more challenging. So, Azure DevOps is a popular continuous integration tool. You can think of it, again, on the Lambda Test channel, you will find separate courses about continuous integration with various tools. But since we are working with .NET, most probably you will work with GitHub Actions or Azure DevOps if you're enterprise. So I'm going to use Azure DevOps. You can think of it that many often, at least for the automated test, there are a couple of different architectures for how we execute our tests. The most popular way is to have a few such pipelines or workflows where we execute all of our tests or a subset of some of the suites every night. However, we can execute our smoke tests or the most important tests after each check-in or publish of your web application. Again, it depends on how big is the web application, etc., and the context. For now, let's assume that we have a single build for executing all of our tests because we don't have so many. I'm using right now the classic editor. And this classic editor, basically the thing that it gives us is that you can use here the buttons and the visual editor to configure everything. However, if we use, for example, you can use the many often some people use this YAML syntax. We can view the YAML syntax for the whole build. And this is useful when you want to have the definition of your pipeline inside some repository so that you have you can view the history, etc., and keep it there. For now, just to make it a little bit easier for us, I used the classic editor with all of these UIs here that can help me. So the first thing that when we configure a new pipeline here is that we need to download our source code. So as you can see here, I used GitHub, and then I basically said, please clone this repo and check out this branch. Of course, as I said, if you're using Polaris framework as a submodule, you will have one additional, for example, right here, you have to check this. This means that you're going to clone the repo of your system tests, and by default, they will download all of the submodules, in this case, Polaris framework. So after that, another thing that I did is, if we take a closer look here, we can name the agent job. Right here, I use this agent pool. By default, Azure DevOps can run on virtual machines. However, here I installed one of their agents on my machine, and I'm running it here. It's right here. It's listening for other jobs, and basically my machine now is a build agent for Azure DevOps, and yeah, it's going to execute all of this code on my machine. It will create a folder, it will download the source code, it will build it, it will run the test, etc. After that, my first step the build as a whole is very simple. As you can see, we have just a few steps, 4 steps. I'm installing the correct version of the SDK. Right now I'm installing and I'm using this particular step, use .NET Core, and I'm installing version 8, which is one of the last ones. After that, if you click here the plus sign, you can view all of the tasks available for you. 2 of my steps are using this .NET Core, and through .NET Core, first I'm building the whole solution. I'm using this regex expression to instruct .NET what to build. In this case, it will build in all of the folders, all of the C# projects. And one additional thing here is that I'm specifying the build configuration. Please note this syntax with $, parentheses, and then the name of the variable. This variable comes from Azure DevOps. This is a custom, actually this is a default variable that comes for every build. This is called build configuration. If you remember, if you're not using, if you watch the module about configurations, we looked into a couple of variations of how we use configuration. Especially if you're using JSON configuration files, this build configuration will be quite important for you, because based on it, another configuration file will be loaded. Here you can create configurations like QA, production, development, etc., or for particular instance. So yeah, this configuration here is important, and if we want to get a particular variable, we use this syntax with the $. And after that, we use the same command here, .NET Core, but this time I'm using the command test right here. You can specify, instead of using a regex expression, you can specify directly the name of the project where your tests are located. And as you can see, we have a little bit more parameters here, right? First we are instructing again which is the configuration that we don't want to build the project or restore any NuGet packages, and then we are applying this filter again. As you can see, I'm getting the filter from my variables, and later I'm going to explain about this Allure and ReportPortal, but as you can guess, this is one of the integration points how we publish results to the report portal. Regarding the test command, I'm going to give you the link to this official documentation. This is the official documentation about the .NET test. As you can see, this CLI command, it helps us to run our tests from the command line, and it has a lot of arguments, right? We're going to use a few of them, only no build, which means that we are going to build the project in another step, and then we are going to use the filter. If we search for the filter, at the bottom of the documentation there are some examples, and you can use the same .NET test command to run tests for MS test, XUnit, NUnit, and we can apply filters such as, in our case, we are going to filter by category. This is additional attribute that we put on top of the tests, like this. Let me show you. In our test here, I have created another namespace called results. A little bit later, I'm going to explain these plugins and event handlers, but for now, pay attention to this category attribute, right? This category, I'm providing all of my categories as constants, so that I don't, copy paste the whole time all of the strings. And based on these categories here, we are going to apply the filter. All right. If we return to the command here, as I said, we are executing all of the tests here based on this command. Pay attention to this checkbox here. If you click it, by default, additional logger will be appended like that, which is called logger TRX. As you can see, if we hover here, you will see that it says we are going to add this logger TRX, which is TRX is the file extension for MS test results. And if you publish all of those results to Azure, this type of report will be created for you, which is okay. I mean, in the past we use it quite extensively. It's fine. I mean, you can see all of the failed tests, all new failed tests. You can find the duration. Also, if you click it, you can see the exception message and the stack trace. As I explained, however, if you're using Lambda test, I showed you in the previous modules how we can send this additional information to Lambda test, and then you can just check all the results there with the stack traces and everything. It really depends how you use Azure DevOps. If you're using their stories, books, test case management system, maybe it makes sense directly to work inside Azure DevOps. It will be up to you. Most of the time, if I have integrated report portal or these Allure reports that we're going to see in a minute, I have opened them here. Maybe you won't need a third place where you're going to check the results. So this is my Azure DevOps build. Again, another thing that is very vital is that we can apply such triggers here. When you click on triggers, we can schedule to be run a particular day and time, or on a build completion, or when there are pull requests, or when you integrate it, for example, when a package is published, then maybe you can trigger then your builds. Again, it depends on your architecture. Now let's return to our presentation, and let's discuss now Allure and ReportPortal. Before discussing how we can integrate them, really quickly I'm going to for those of you who don't know these tools, to give you just a glimpse of what they are. First, I'm going to start with ReportPortal. ReportPortal is a very popular reporting solution. It's open source. You can deploy it on Docker, Kubernetes, and other cloud platforms. It's a full-fledged web application that it's, as we discuss later the installation guide, you will see that you need a very powerful machine to host it. And it will cost some money, right? If you want everything to be executed fast. However, you can create these really nice dashboards. They are very customizable, as you will see in a minute. You can rearrange them, you can add such widgets, and you can configure them with different filters. For example, here I have created such dashboards for our 𝑨𝒏𝒕𝒐𝒏 enterprise test automation framework. We have for it around 4,000 tests. As you can see, we have some filters about failed test cases trend, no passed test cases, launches duration, etc. Also later, there are other widgets for most failed tests or flaky tests as well. After that, you can see live while the builds are running. Each test can be visualized here while the run is running. You can these runs will be populated and it will be displayed that they are running. This is significantly different than, for example, Allure reports that are generated at the end of particular run. Imagine that you have builds that are running for 12 hours. This means that the Allure report will be produced at the end of these 12 hours, and you will have this HTML report. But the report portal is a web portal where you can log in and you can see the currently executed builds. This means that you can have multiple reports at the same place. Multiple teams can work with it. You can have multiple dashboards. You can have multiple projects. So it's a full-fledged system for your whole company. It's not just a single thing. And after you have all of the launches, you will see that all the failures will be categorized in different categories here: product bug, automation bug, system issue, or whether they need to be investigated. After that, you can investigate them. The great thing, as you'll see in my real example later, is that they have a machine learning algorithm that will learn over time, and it will suggest and will do this auto analysis for you. This is really helpful, especially if you have thousands of tests. This will definitely save you time. And all the stack traces and everything, it will go here. Both Allure and ReportPortal, they are available for integration with most of the most popular programming languages and technologies, which is really great. And this is why we are talking about them here. Also, the ReportPortal can be integrated with third-party systems like Jira and popular test case management systems in case you want to submit a bug directly from here. This is Allure. As I said, it's a little bit more basic. It doesn't have databases or whatever. It's just saving, as we'll discuss later, all of its data inside a particular folder in a JSON format, and later through these JSONs, their executable is generating this static website with the information here. So this is again something similar that I did for the 𝑨𝒏𝒕𝒐𝒏 framework that I was developing. As you can see here, we have 1,600 tests, and similarly to what we have in Polaris, we have different controls or components for 𝑨𝒏𝒕𝒐𝒏, and I have grouped all of the tests relevant to each particular control in a separate suite. However, you can group them by features or stories. For example, in 𝑨𝒏𝒕𝒐𝒏 we have something called override globally actions for components, and this means that I have tests only for this particular feature, or we have these ensure extensions, or we can override something locally. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's another feature of the Allure that gives you another flexibility how you can group your tests. After that, there's some icons here. For example, this bump icon, it means that this is a flaky test. You will find a detailed stack trace here. We can also attach screenshots and videos, and I'm going to show you how we can do that. And what else? We have again, you can view all of the suites here, and all their total execution time, which sometimes is very helpful. I'm going to show you how we can extend it with additional tags and BDD logging. And there are some widgets. That's it. So let's look how we can integrate these two tools into our framework. So you will need a couple of NuGet packages. For the ReportPortal, the most essential NuGet packages that you need to install are this ReportPortal test logger. This will give you the possibility to use this custom logger in Azure DevOps, and this is actually, you can think of it, it is an extension to .NET Test, and basically at the end of every test they're publishing results there. We're going to discuss whether this is a bottleneck or not for you, because in some cases this can significantly slow down the test execution, but this will be up to you depending on the machine where you install the ReportPortal. After that, you need this ReportPortal and unit. For the extensions that we are going to build later, you will need these two additional packages, ReportPortal Serialog and ReportPortal Shared. For the Allure, the only thing that you need to install is this Allure and unit, right? That's it. After that, for the ReportPortal, the only thing that you need now is this ReportPortal config. Before explaining the config, let me show you their installation guide. You can navigate to their documentation. Deployment, as you can see, you can deploy it with Docker, without Docker, in Kubernetes, in Google Cloud. It depends on your infrastructure. Right now I have deployed in my local Docker right here, right? So in order to test it and install it locally in your Docker, of course you need to install Docker. After that, you need to download this Docker Compose file, and after you have it, you just need to execute this particular command. In 5 minutes, you have everything configured for you, and when you navigate to the localhost this port, you can log in with the default users and administrators. That's it. And after that, you'll be able to log in to this localhost website. Let's refresh it. Also, you need to check all of the containers here. You need to make sure that they are green and that they are working. So now it loaded. Here I have already executed some of the tests. So these are my widgets for our current tests that I executed. I really like this overall statistics. As I explained, you can rearrange all of the dashboards. You'll see that I added one demo dashboard with auto-generated data, and I have one more, but you can have as many as you like. From here, you can add a new dashboard. Maybe if multiple teams are using the report portal, you can create many of such dashboards. And here under launches, you can apply filters right here. These are the tests that are running for our e-commerce Lambda test website and for some of the controls. A little bit later in the third part, I'm going to explain how we can customize it and add these additional attributes here. You will notice that I have the actual build number that comes from Azure. This is not by default. This is extensibility that we built. And also all of this information, I got it from my build. Also, you will notice that I added as a description this Lambda test build URL. It will navigate us to the actual build in Lambda test. Also, if we take a closer look to the failed tests, we have similarly link to the build, link to information about the current test suite and the actual build number. And after that, I have the stack trace, and also pay attention to these really cool links here. I have a link to my Lambda test video execution. I have again a link to the build URL and a link to the DevOps, Azure DevOps build. Why this is helpful? Because many often the report portal is used not only by test automation engineers, but their development managers, other business people, and these links are helpful for anyone. And when you click make decision, you will see that since I did a lot of runs right now, there is this auto analyzer suggestion, and it's suggesting that right now there are similar logs, and in the past we marked this as a system issue, and I can click here at the bottom apply, and it will mark it. So after you install the report portal, you will have a particular IP address depending where you have hosted it. Right now, since I'm running it locally on my machine, I'm running on localhost, and this is why in the report portal configuration in Visual Studio, I'm going to provide this URL here to the API. And after that, from the profile at the bottom, you will find these links: profile, administrate, and API. You will need to go there to get your authentication key that we need to put into report portal configuration. So as I said, you need to put here the URL, the IP address, where your report portal is. You need to generate this API key, again from profile. And then I have some information about the launches, a default name, like runtime. You can change that, but I don't suggest you to do so because this can reflect the filters and the dashboards. But you can play with it if you want. You can change it. You can add default description and add some default attributes. That's it. This is the only thing that you need. And after that, after you install this report portal vs test logger, you'll be able to add and use use this logger report portal. This logger again extends .NET Test, and it will send all the data runtime to your report portal. You will notice that, as I said, this can, if we take a closer look to their installation guide for the report portal, here somewhere there was information right here, recommended resources, 2 CPUs, 5 GB of RAM. I noticed that if multiple teams are using simultaneously, this is not enough. Usually, in most cases, when I was adding report portal to our projects, we use at least 4 CPUs and 8 GB of RAM, and even sometimes this is not enough, again depending on the load. If your machine is too slow depending on the resources, since the way the logger is working, again imagine that after each test we are connecting to the report portal and send some information there, this can significantly slow down the tests. If this is happening for you and you cannot upgrade the machine or is costing too much, then you can turn off the logger, and then they have an API for uploading the TRX file, to the report portal, and then the launch will be created. However, keep in mind that this is limiting, like you won't see real time that your tests are executing. Also, one more thing, if you, for example, are checking here this publish test results coverage, keep in mind that probably if you use the 2 loggers, 2 simultaneous runs will be created in the report portal. Sometimes it's helpful for you to have this TRX file created, because in some of our projects, when we have the TRX file attached to the build, you can download it later and open it in Visual Studio. This is excellent because it will open all of the results directly in Visual Studio, like that in the Test Explorer, and you will be able to re-execute all of the failed tests. Otherwise, you will have to search test by test every time and troubleshoot all of this. So it really depends how you use it, right? Alright, this is regarding the report portal. For the Allure, as I said, you need only this Allure NUnit NuGet package. After that, you have 2 configuration files, this Allure config.json, and maybe this is an optional one, this categories.json file. In the Allure configuration, you just specify the folder in your bin folder where these JSON files that I told you about, where they will be stored. Let me show you. This is my current bin folder, right, for this system test project. And you will notice that together with all the DLLs, I have folder here, Allure results. This is generated automatically when you enable the Allure execution. And when you open this folder, you will notice that there are hundreds of JSON files. This is normal, as I said. Allure doesn't have like a database, but it's storing everything inside these JSON files. This is why it's important to name correctly this folder. Later, when we configure the extension here, this step, this is a third-party step coming from an extension. You can find this in their documentation. There is a section integrations, Azure DevOps, and in order to have this step, you need to install this Allure Report plugin that you can get from the Visual Studio Marketplace. After you install it, this will be integrated for you as we discussed before. So we'll have this report here, this Allure report. This is inside my current Azure pipeline. I already installed this, and after that I will be able to, you know, identify all of the failures here, check the console logs, and everything else. I wanted to show you one more thing. Inside here, you will notice that we need to point to the exact same folder that we are specifying in the Allure configuration. Otherwise, this Allure report plugin won't know where these JSON files are in order to render them inside Azure DevOps. And these links here, this is additional meta information if you want to add and use the Allure specific attributes for linking issues, like for example in Jira or GitHub, and test case management systems. That's it. Also, Allure has, and you can find that in their documentation, they have this, let's say, simple way of categorizing your tests automatically based on regex expressions and statuses. So in these categories JSON here, in a JSON format, you can add different nodes. For example, I can categorize all of the tests that are with skipped status to be inside a group called ignore tests, or they can be placed inside a group product book if they match their message and assertion message match this regex expression. The same can be like this calculator problem. So we can include both match statuses or trace regex expression or message regex expression. That's it. But again, this is optional. If you want, you can put it here. After that, if you want your test to be encoded compared to report portal, in report portal you don't need to place any attributes or anything. You just need to install the NuGet package, use the logger, and provide this JSON configuration. That's it. However, for the Allure, it's a little bit different. For the Allure, you need at least to put this Allure NUnit on top of all of the test classes that you want to be included into the Allure report. And again, this is why you need to install this Allure NUnit NuGet package. Together with it, you have access to additional attributes like a parent suite, Allure epic, Allure feature, severity, owner. We can have a parent suite and a subsuite. And this is how you achieve, as you saw in the images from the 𝒏𝒕𝒐𝒏 framework, this is how we achieve this categorization of our test by feature or particular test suite. This is meta information that you put on top of your tests and test classes. That's it. Nothing more. Later I'm going to show you how we can extend that, and we're going to return to this. Alright, one more thing, part of our presentation, I wanted to explain how we can use AppInsights. So what are the AppInsights? Let me directly show you. In my demo Azure account, I created this AppInsights service, Application Insights. And in the AppInsights, you can think of it as a Google Analytics. This is analytics, but for different applications. Or this application insights, it's often abbreviated AppInsights. This is a feature of Azure Monitor. This is a cloud-based service provided by Microsoft Azure that allows developers and DevOps teams to monitor the performance, availability, usage of their applications in real time. It provides deep insights into how applications are performing, where potential issues might be. You can track of AppInsights automatically captures and handles exceptions and other errors that occur in your application, and provides a detailed stack traces later and context to help you diagnose and fix the issue. Also, you can implement custom error logging, etc., etc. In the past, why am I showing you this? In the past, when I was at the beginning of the development of the 𝒏𝒕𝒐𝒏 framework, we integrated this AppInsights so that we can track which features of our framework are used most and which are not used, right? And of course, when you have this type of analytics, you can invest your time later in developing further particular features and then dropping others. Also, another really helpful thing, as I said, is this exception tracking. Imagine that you have, even if you have ReportPortal, Allure, DevOps, Lambda test, all of them, most of the time, it really depends how you configure them, but in most cases how people use them, you don't have this bigger overview of all of the general exceptions that your framework is throwing, right? And this was one of the things that we integrated this AppInsights so that we can track all of the exceptions that are thrown through our framework so that we can fix them before even our clients are reporting them. You can integrate that into your framework so that if many teams are using it, even if they don't understand why something is failing, you're going to see it later here, and you're going to see a particular count of these particular exceptions. Also, I actually created an additional plugin that in a minute I'm going to show you, that is collecting information about all the tests that are executed, their name, their test suite, their duration, all of the exceptions, and how many errors we have. They are all logged here in this big data database. And as you can see here, for the past 14 days, I can use this UI to filter all of the past or not passed tests. Also, I can filter many different here parameters, custom properties that I can add, and I can see the exact exceptions. Moreover, when you click here, this detailed view will be opened, and you can use this SQL query mode, where you can make this type of reports and fine-grain what you're searching for and debug it. The way this works, again, I'm going to link that into the description below. The right place to check is the, of course, official documentation for Application Insights API in this telemetry. It's called a telemetry API. Telemetry in software development means that we are gathering data on the use and performance of applications and application components. You can think that this can help you to add something like Google Analytics, if my analogy is right, but for your framework. So we need a few NuGet packages, and then you need a very simple client. So I added this integration to our integration project right here, and I added a namespace called Insights. So these Insights, we have settings and application Insights utility static class. Let me move that here. So inside the app inside settings, we have a connection string and whether this is enabled. Also, I installed this NuGet package, Microsoft Insights. That's it. This is the only thing that you need. And after that, in the service itself, it's very simple, just a single class wrapper. It's a static class in the same way like we built other integrations. We are getting the connection string from our static integration settings. Then I am initializing the telemetry client. This was something that I used a lot in the past, because many people outside of our company were using our open source framework. I wasn't sure what operating systems they are using. This is why this AppInsights, it helps us to again understand how people are using our framework so that we can develop it further, and whether we need to spend time supporting multiple platforms, right? Not only Windows. So I added here a few static methods for tracking exception. As you can see, it accepts a special object called exception telemetry. Then most of the time we're going to use this track event. And if this is enabled, we are just using the telemetry client to track the particular event. And after that, I added one more plugin. It's called AppInsights plugin. And if we open this plugin, you'll see that we need to derive from our plugin that comes from Polaris core. And the thing that I do here is that we need to log the duration time of our tests. So I'm getting the full name of the test and then the start time, and I'm adding it to this static read-only dictionary, that basically our key is the full name of the test and then the start time. After that, after the test cleanup, we are getting again the test full name. We are calculating the total execution time. And after that, we are creating this simple event telemetry class object instance. And I'm adding some meta information that will walk into AppInsights, that the name will be automated test results, and we are providing properties such as the test name, the test suite, the test outcome, the duration, and in case our test failed, we are going to walk the exception as well. And one of the most important things is that, of course, you need to call the track event, send the event telemetry there, and don't forget to call the flush. The flush will force the AppInsights to send all the requests to the cloud. You can do that also in the end of the whole execution as you wish. That's about the AppInsights. It's really cool. Now, let's return to our short presentation, and now it's time to show you some reporting, some extensions to the reporting solutions. Let's begin with Allure. I'm going to show you first how we can create BDD logging like that. Do you see it? Like this is like very similar to the BDD logging that we introduced before and we have in continuous integration, etc. But this time here I use the Allure API. Let me show you how this works. If we return to the original BDD logging, if you remember, we were using our regular logger class, and this will create a log file or will directly send the data to the console. So basically we're using the same architecture. We are deriving from this base event handlers, but this time inside these demo system tests, I have a folder event handlers, and we have similar Allure steps event handlers, right? For the buttons, checkboxes, dates, emails, etc. How I found this? Well, there is a documentation about, it's not here, it's right here for the Allure. They have like divide tests into test steps when you check their documentation about NUnit. As you can see, we need to use here the Allure NUnit attribute, and after that they have an API using their facade here called Allure API, and then you can use this step. Of course, we can have nested steps, etc. I will keep it simple. We'll just use a single step, and this is why our event handlers are very simple. Again, this is how we use the logger. The message will be absolutely the same, but this time here I'm changing the logger with this Allure API step, and this will automatically create this nice BDD logging inside the Allure report. Awesome. The only thing that after that you need to do is that I created a base class for all of my test classes. It's called results web test, that is deriving from our original web test. And now I'm adding our AppInsights plugin together to the execution engine, and I'm subscribing to all of these Allure steps handlers. That's it. The next thing that I wanted to show you is how we can add here files when you open a particular test, how we can add here videos and screenshots. If you're, again, most probably here you just want to add a link to the Lambda test video, for example, or screenshot, but for some reason some people prefer to attach all the screenshots to Allure. You can use the same Allure API. If you remember, and if you watched the previous module about integrating third-party applications, you remember the plugin that we created for publishing to blob storage in Azure, the videos and the screenshots from Lambda test. This is exactly what I did in these two plugins. I published some screenshots and videos to Allure, and I did the same, but this time I published them to the Azure DevOps. You can do absolutely the same to the report portal, but for the report portal, I will show you it's more interesting how actually you can add these additional links that I showed you before. So in this plugin here, basically I copy pasted absolutely the same plugin for the blob storage. So we are using extensively, as you can see here, we are checking whether this is a Lambda test run. After that, I'm getting the session. Using the session, I'm using the Lambda test session API client that we generated previously. So I'm, as you can see here, I'm getting the link to the video from Lambda test using the session API client. Then using our API client, I'm downloading the video in memory as a byte array. And after that, as you can see here, here is the main change. I have commented the initialization of the blob storage service and the link where I upload the file. And instead, the only change that I did is that in order to add this to our Allure report, we need to call this Allure at attachment. I need to provide the file name, the type of the file. In this case, this is video MP4. This downloaded video response is actually the byte array of the video response, and the extension of the file. In this case, this is MP4. And at the bottom there is one such change, but for the screenshots. The only difference here is that I mentioned that this is an image PNG. Something similar I did for the Azure DevOps, but this time you don't need to use like additional NuGet package or whatever. You can use native NUnit for MS Test. Keep in mind that for MS Test is a little bit different, and for XUnit. But if you're using NUnit, you can use the NUnit test context, and this test context give you this method add test attachment. After you, however, here you need to point a real file. This is the other change. The Allure API and the blob storage, they're working with byte arrays or links, but here you need first to save the file in a temp file to your machine, and then you can add it as a test attachment, and this will, when the run finishes, then this will be added to your Azure results later and to the TRX file. All right, and the last thing that I wanted to show you is if we switch back to the report portal, I want to show you how we can add this additional information here, these builds, change the description, and after that how we can add the Lambda test links. The information about this is a little bit hard for you to find. In order to find it, I actually researched many of the report portal open source projects. In some of them, they have like information how to send log information to the report portal. For some languages, their original documentation is good. For others, like C#, you need to navigate to their GitHub and check all the examples. However, if you want to send, for example, attachments to particular tests, again, this is the project that you need. commons.net under the report portal project. And as you can see here, you can use this context current log info. Another thing that I showed you before, if you want to create a similar BDD logging that I showed you, there are a couple of ways how you can do that. First, inside our core project, I installed one additional NuGet package. This is ReportPortal Serilog. This means that we can integrate a ReportPortal logger inside our Polaris logger right here. When you install this Serilog extension for the report portal, right here at the bottom, you will find that I added this. From the global settings, I added a new property called �is_ReportPortal logging enable. If you enable that, then we're going to use their extension, and this will add additional sync. This is called the sync, where basically when you use the logger, it will, for example, write to the file, write to the console, write to the debug, or other places like the report portal, right? And this is awesome because this means that if you enable this custom logger, this means that your original BDD logging here, you won't need to do other event handlers, but they directly will walk messages to the report portal, which is awesome. So this is one of the extensions. Another place where I found the actual implementation that I'm going to show you now is this example .NET NUnit. This is actually a link from their NUnit documentation. It's directly referring to this example NUnit GitHub repo. I cloned the repo, I checked most of their source, and I found this extension. This extension, as you will see, is an original NUnit native extension. This is why, because we are extending the NUnit engine and its test event listeners, which is awesome, by the way. And as you can see here, they have this report portal listener. It's something similar to our observers, but they are using event and delegates. And using this report portal listener, we can execute logic before test finishes and after test started, or before the whole run. And each of these events, as you can see, they have event arguments. Inside these event arguments, we have access to their particular API requests. We have access to the reporter. We will use this test reporter walk to create walk messages to the report portal, but as you can see, we are extending their execution workflow, which is awesome. If we drill down, you will find other interesting places like, for example, scoping, adding attachments like files. Also, you will notice that they have tests and they have a very similar architecture to our, where they use these event observers. Now when you know about the observer pattern, you can see it everywhere. So let's see how we can use that in our framework, but this time inside this demo system tests. This will be the last thing that I'm going to show you today. Inside this plugin namespace, I added this NUnit extension. I call this report portal test walk extension. Since this is a native NUnit extension, the only thing that you need to do is to place this NUnit attribute on top of it and extend this iTest event listener that comes from NUnit. After that, you don't need to register it somewhere, whatever. The NUnit engine will register automatically and it will execute it. But you need to make sure that everywhere you wrap all of the code with these try-catch clauses. Otherwise, if something happens with the report portal integration, all the tests will fail. And of course, you don't want that. Probably here is a good place to put your AppInsights event publishing, because this is a critical infrastructure error. So I used two events here that I subscribed before run started and before test finished. Before I explain all the logic here, you will notice that before the run started, in order to get information about the test suite, the run environment, the release name, the build name, we are getting these environmental variables. But probably you will wonder from where we are getting this information. You will notice that we are getting them as they're coming from a process. And this is a good question. We're providing this information through our Azure pipeline. When you use Azure variables here, right here, I created all of this meta information right here. So I created Azure DevOps build. This is a default build variable, build ID. This is how we are going to generate the Azure DevOps build ID, because if you pay attention up here, not here, but for example for this specific URL, you will notice that this part of the URL is the same. The only thing that changes is this build ID. So when I have the build ID, I can generate this URL and I can navigate all of the users here. And this is how we are going to get it. And when you have all of the variables here, all of these variables will be present as environmental variables in the current process. This means that in your code, when you use environmental variables, get variable, but for the process, you will have access to this Azure DevOps build ID, this build name. As you can see, I built it from the current test suite, the current build number, and the run environment. The run environment, as I explained at the beginning of the module, this is like the name of your environment, whether this is a QA environment, development environment, production environment, acceptance, testing environment, whatever, or the name of particular instance. So in this case, this is the QA environment. Also, we have the category, which is our suite, and we have our filter. And we have also a release name. A release name, many often this is needed for some people want to know that, because if we keep some of the runs indefinitely, as I explained in the previous video, when we downloaded all of the videos from Lambda test, many often for certification purposes, for example, ISO certification, we need to be able to prove when we have such certification that we executed all of the tests for the particular release. And this will be the thing that you can apply the filter, right? And in your portal later, when you want to mark a particular build as final, you can go here to, for example, this run, and from actions you can edit it, and when you edit it here, you can mark it as final. Right here, you can add other custom categories if you want, or maybe you can do that automatically. Another change that I did is that inside our, as you can see, we have the build name, right? But also there is one more change. You will notice that right now I changed the build name of our Lambda test execution, and this is the build name that comes from Azure DevOps build. And also, if we open the tests right now, these are not random names like before, right? But this is the exact name of my tests. And the place where I'm changing that is that inside, let me see, inside the Lambda test attribute, inside the, actually this is the second, we need the web one. So inside the Lambda test attribute that we are using, you will see that we are getting the same environmental variable as a process. And after that, we are setting this grid settings build name that later we are passing here as a build name. This will change again. This will be the build ID for Azure DevOps, which is awesome. Another thing that I'm doing inside our browser lifecycle plugin, we are initializing our grid settings. For the grid settings, somewhere here, I'm setting the test name, which comes from the reflection. This is the name of the test. And later, inside our driver factory, in the place where we are initializing all of the grid options, we are setting this custom name. This will be like a name capability for the Lambda test, and this will set the exact name of the test. Again, many often this is hard for you to do this dynamically, but we are doing it because we are using observers. For the observers, we know the test name, then the test name, we are initializing this grid configuration, and later, before starting with the driver factory, initializing the remote WebDriver, I'm setting the name. However, we are connecting all the dots, right? And now if we return to our report portal test extension, this method will be executed, as you can guess from the name, before the actual run. So we are getting all of those environmental variables. And I have now access to the launch request. This means that report portal at the end of this method will make this start launch request. So I'm clearing all of the current attributes, and I'm adding new ones if these environmental variables are not known. I'm initializing the suite, the instance, the release, and the build, and I'm overriding them from these environmental variables. On top of that, if my build name is not known, again, I'm adding this build attribute, and also I'm building the lambda test build URL. Basically, if you use this query parameter search text with the build name, this will open the whole build and you will be able to click it. And then I'm just initializing the description property to the lambda test URL. That's it. And the most important part is happening inside this another event handler called after test finished. Again, we have some access to some arguments from this test item finished event arc argument. We are checking, is report portal enabled? Is this a lambda test run? If yes, then similarly to what we did in other plugins, we're getting the current session. We are using the session API to get information about the session. Then I'm getting the current test shared URL and I'm sharing it for 30 days. Again, I'm getting that from the response, and here I use another from the API clients. And the thing that I showed you that I found in the GitHub repo for the Annuit extension examples for the report portal, we can use this eTest reporter walk, and we need to initialize this create log item requests. And basically we are specifying the level, the time, and I'm providing all of the text here. In this case, using string interpolation, I'm attaching the link to the whole test, to the video. I'm doing something similar for the lambda test build URL, similarly to what we attached to the description. And for the Azure DevOps build ID logging, as I explained, when you get the build ID, the only thing that we do is that in this integration settings, I added my full URL there, because it will be different every time for different projects. So I'm building this URL, and again I'm publishing it. That's it. And maybe if you want additional attributes, I'm adding them here. And at the end, you need to call this eTest reporter finish with the finish test item request, and everything will be published for you. Again, I wrapped everything here inside this try-catch box. Maybe you can use again this AppInsights that we checked before. And again, this is awesome because you will have this additional information about the build here, about these tags. When you open failed tests, you'll have all of the stack trace and all of the BDD logging I explained before, but most probably this is very helpful, and it was a feature that many clients that we were working for requested from us. This is why I'm teaching you how to use it. So we covered a lot. We saw how we can create an Azure DevOps build using our framework. We saw how we can integrate Allure and ReportPortal, and also how to use AppInsights to track features or track global exceptions that are happening inside your framework, and track metrics, for example, bottlenecks for really long executing tests. We saw some extensions, how you can send information like screenshots and videos to Allure, ReportPortal, and Azure DevOps. But maybe one of the most important plugins that we developed is how we extended Annuit to extend report portal and connect it with Lambda test and Azure DevOps and put everything together. So in the next video, in the next module, we're going to cover how to do performance testing using our current framework. We are going to use a lot bidirectional APIs. We are going to use Google Whitehouse. We are going to use Lambda test. It will be quite interesting. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Check the awesome Lambda test blog in the community website, and don't forget to get your free certification about NUnit, MS Test, WebDriver, APM, and many other technologies. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next module.